Hi, everybody. Welcome back to DocTalk. We took a week off last week for me to be sick. How's that? I was brash enough to be exposed to our grandkids, and the grandkids are back in school and daycare. And as fast as possible, they are spreading all the respiratory bugs to each other and making sure that if anybody in the adult world is around them, they pick it up too. And so I had my COVID negative, but still very uncomfortable, cold and cough and chest congestion that was a routine seasonal respiratory bug. And I'm glad this week to be able to say I'm back, although I still have a little bit of a raspy voice. So in 2 weeks, we've had quite a bit of COVID news, and I'm going to share a little bit with you today to kind of reinforce we're heading down the right pathway still. We are across the globe seeing less COVID. We know that casualties are well beyond 1 million across this country. The news of the last couple of days is that the global death rate is no doubt much higher than is officially reported. And so this has been a devastating pandemic. We are hoping that we're not going to face other very serious waves. In this country, the death rate continues to go down as we have less cases, we have less hospitalizations, and we have less deaths. And recently, many of the cases, as you know, are Omicron variants. And the Omicron variants have a tendency to be less severe than earlier, particularly the Delta variant. And we were still, until the last couple of weeks, still seeing deaths from Delta variant patients who unfortunately were very, very sick and never recovered. So the other news of the week is about these things. Okay, what are we going to do about masks? So it is good news to report that our case numbers are generally down across the country. We have some areas where the new BA2 variant of Omicron is increasing, and we're seeing a few more cases and a few more hospitalizations, but nothing near the tragedies that we have endured for the last 2 years. We'll have to keep an eye on that. Number two, the cases that are occurring are people tend to be not that sick. Today, I had my first case in 2 months in one of my fire departments I'm working with here, and that individual's not very sick, fortunately, but we'll keep an eye on him. That same five-day process is in place for him to be away from other people. And then if he is well enough, he'll be in a mask in the station. We have, in general, dropped our mandate for masks across all of our work, except the way that we have always done it is if you are having a patient who's got an infectious illness, we're in N95s. And that is the way that it should be for us all the time, not catching either COVID or meningitis or other forms of pneumonia by appropriately using our N95 mask for protection. And as usual, our gloves, and if we need eye protection. And if they're spewing stuff, we put a gown on in addition. So that is where many of the departments are moving towards. In a couple areas of the country, still with higher incidence than they're comfortable with, and they have reconsidered masking for people in all kind of congregate settings, and that is in general the routine surgical masks. The big news of the week, of course, is the federal judge's opinion that the mandate cannot be enforced at this time on public transportation. Our public transportation providers, after 2 years of very, very difficult operations, understanding that their people are not the mask police, have said we gotta relax this. But still, in many areas of the country, when you're in public areas, you're seeing one version of this. And for those of you concerned in public transportation settings, if you're wearing your N95, you're very well protected. You're not staying around people who are coughing and sneezing. You're maintaining a 6-foot distance where you have the opportunity to do that. And N95 is still excellent protection, even if that person is spreading COVID. Of course, the combination of this on somebody else and this on you is the very best. And some people recognize and understand that. And as we go through the coming months, we'll continue to watch this new variant of Omicron. We'll watch the areas that have kind of been hot spots in the last couple of weeks, and hopefully not watch any new problem areas begin to erupt. There is more good news on the vaccine front. One important study released this week said kids that were receiving the vaccinations over age 5 very much were protected from hospitalization and serious illness. So for those of you who were wondering about getting your kids vaccinated, it is clear that vaccination has proven very successful in preventing, even at the end of Delta and the beginning of Omicron, the serious illnesses that you don't want the kids to get, even kids with underlying immune system problems. Other news, one of our monoclonal antibodies no longer effective against the BA.1 variant, and so they have pulled sotrovimab from our toolkit. They'll keep all of those doses in case they're useful in the future, but we're really down to one monoclonal antibody, which is bevletivimab, long word. It is our only monoclonal left for treatment. We have the 2 oral pills available for treatment, Paxlovid and molnupiravir. For those of you who get sick or have family members get sick, we're primarily looking at the oral medicine as the treatment at this point. And for those of you who have unfortunate family members who have bad immune systems and are not getting benefit or can't get the vaccine, the one monoclonal antibody that is given as a preventive measure, Evusheld, is still available and effective against the new variants. So that's the treatment side. What is really a timely issue for us now in Fire and EMS is to begin to put together our interim after action reports. And I would urge you to call them interim so that we are not convincing ourselves absolutely that this isn't going to come back in any wave. But we put our lessons together. The IAFF has already drafted an interim after action report and released it more than a year ago. That is a good template for all of us to use in terms of putting together our own after action report with an interim stamp on it to make sure that we think through and we are prepared if another wave should come or if anything else is going to come this fall. I would urge you all at this point to think about fall operations and think about whether we are going to be back in our masks again and for what kind of illnesses. Remember, at this point, we will be thinking about on-ramp operations and on-ramp surveillance, which is different than we did about 3 months ago, talking about off-ramp stuff. There's many people who come this fall will say, I want to wear a mask when I'm around other people and in all my patient care, and we're going to have policies in place that allow us to do that. Another really important element of the fall is we will be thinking about our flu shots into the fall. Already, they're doing studies to see if they can combine the flu shot with an update of our COVID vaccination, put those into one needle and inject one needle for protection. I think by this fall that we will be prepared to give updated shots for both influenza and COVID, that those immunizations will again intend to prevent people from getting the seasonal flus, plus an update on COVID and any new variants if needed. So those are the things to plan ahead for come fall operations. We have an opportunity now to get into the warm weather months to be able to think about warm weather operations and all of the stuff that goes along with it. And already we're seeing the fire season kick. And for many of you involved in the wildland operations, it's not going to be masking up everywhere in the camps anymore this season, we hope, but it's probably going to be a very challenging year for us in the wildland arena. So for springtime, we're getting there in many areas of the country. We have an opportunity to take a vacation, take a break, get a little mental health rest, do a little after action reporting and thinking about our routine operations and prep. Think just a little bit about fall operations and not let that kind of creep up on us too quickly, and stay healthy and have a really good end of spring and beginning of summertime. So our message, DocTalk, this week is really ongoing good news, and hopefully for all of you, a really good time to plan ahead for fun. Okay. Stay safe, be healthy. Thank you.